Hi, I'm Jean-Jacques Taylor. I grew up in the Oak Cliff section of Dallas cheering for Tom Landry's Cowboy. And for the last 30 years, I've covered your Dallas Cowboys as a beat writer, columnist, TV insider, and radio personality. I've made a name for myself by creating relationships with players who either didn't like the media or didn't trust the media. Welcome to JacquesTalk 101. We're going to have conversations with your favorite Cowboys from every era, from players who had great careers to those that had great moments. We'll discuss their lives and their careers and the moments that shaped them. And we'll deliver it like we always do, straight, no chasing. Welcome to Shop Talk 101. Let's get it. Hi, welcome to another episode of Shop Talk 101. We're here today joined by my good friend, Lincoln Coleman, my DISD compadre. From Bryan Adams to Skyline, arch rivals, but here we are on Jacques Talk 101. And Lincoln Coleman, see, we told you when we started doing Jacques Talk 101 that we're going to bring you not only Cowboys from every era, 60s, 70s, 80s, and so forth, but also not just the big names like Darren Woodson, but we're also going to bring you the guys who had moments that were unforgettable.
All right.
Now, I talked to somebody today, literally, and I said, hey, I'm bringing Lincoln Coleman up here to talk. He said, Lincoln Coleman, I know that name. What? Let me see. I said, you know why you don't remember Lincoln Coleman? Because Leon Lett touched that ball.
That's right.
Thanksgiving Day in 1994.
That's right.
But this is Lincoln Coleman. 18 games, 98 carries, 312 yards. Trivia for you. Only the third person ever from Bryan Adams High School to get to the NFL. He's also the last person to get to the NFL. And let's talk about your moment.
All right.
How did you end up in the game? It's hold on, we got to set the scene.
Okay.
It's 1994. Mm-hmm. It's Thanksgiving. Emmett is already a little banged. 93, I'm sorry. Emmett is already banged up a little bit.
Yeah.
So Lincoln's on the squad. Been on the practice squad, he's got promoted. Didn't play against the Falcons.
That's right. It's
the worst snowstorm I believe we have seen.
That's right.
Interesting side note, your boy is in the stands. Sitting in the 50-yard line with good seats.
There you go.
That also happened to be the last Thanksgiving Day for about 28 years that I did not work.
All right.
All right. Now, you're in the game. Emmett's hurt. What's your thoughts when you see Emmett coming to the side?
I knew he was ailing, and he only had 2 days to kind of get healthy from the Atlanta Falcon game. He had a thigh bruise. I thought that they were going to go with Derek Lassick, but they brought me up to active roster, and of course I'm happy, but I didn't think I was going to get some playing time because I didn't get any playing time in the Atlanta game. He was hurt, and I'm trying to think of the name of the running back for the Miami Dolphins.
Keith Byers?
Byers.
Buckeye.
He was banging us.
Yeah, he was.
You know, and so coach go, I got a 260-pound running back. Let's see if we can make that happen. And instead of putting in Derek Lassick, he put me in.
First carry.
Yeah.
You go off left tackle, you get about 4 yards. What's it like when you're in the huddle?
I don't remember that play because I was crapping my pants.
Were you really nervous?
Oh, I was so nervous. I didn't really believe I was on the field. It was incredible. The first thing he did was turn around and say, Coleman, let's go. And I run out there, and I get 4 yards, and I almost fumbled the ball because my limbs are all...
Right.
You know, and I just did not, I did not understand what was happening at that time.
And then you got the second carry.
Yeah.
What happened on that one?
About 17 yards.
Off right tackle?
A pitch.
Yeah, in the snow.
In the snow. You know, there's no way you're supposed to, in the pitch, a sweep, in the snow, supposed to make that kind of yardage. And so I started getting comfortable. I started feeling good.
What happened at the end of that play?
I got hit out of bounds, but the play that was most significant was the next play. I hit right off tackle, and Louis Oliver, he and we met in the hole, and my left side was numb. And so I go back to the huddle, and I'm just sitting there like this, and Aikman says, I love that play. Let's run it again. And I'm like, oh my God. And the ref blew the whistle and said, no, he's still on the ground.
Louis Oliver.
Louis Oliver. And that was his last play of his career.
Is that right?
That's right.
And you needed that break to kind of gather yourself?
Oh, yeah, I needed it. I was so happy. I mean, not that he was injured, but I was just happy that I had time to gather myself.
And so you guys go on, you guys score on that drive. But again, how were you feeling after the game? Because that was your moment.
Yeah.
You were the star. You had, I think, 10 carries, 57 yards. Everybody was talking about you until my man Leon Lett touched the ball at the end of the game. It was a blocked field goal.
Yeah.
Ball was rolling. If nobody touches it, it's dead. Cowboys win. Everybody's talking about Lincoln.
Yeah.
Instead, Leon touches it. They get another chance to line up for a field goal. They win on the last play of the game.
Well, actually, what happened was they were going to give it to myself and Kevin Williams. So the turkey was on our side of the field.
No, you
And so we're sitting there like, it's on, baby. And then he does what he did.
Right.
And they scooted that dang turkey all the way. I watched it go all the way over to the Miami Dolphins, man. And I said, God dang it. You know,
That ain't really what
a
you
lot
said.
of the reporters asked me, did you go up to Leon Lett and tell him, give him what you, I said, he's 6'9", 295 pounds. What I look like beating this dude up? You know, but I love Leon Lett, you know, and the big thing that no one understands is that no one knew. Before the season, the league changed the rules on downing a ball after you block it for a field goal. Now, all you have to do is block it and get the hell away from it, you know?
Right.
And but before that, the year before that, you had to block it. Then you had to go and touch the ball, and that's what he was thinking. That was our first block of the year, and Leon Lett wasn't thinking, and we got the result that we got.
How does that game change you?
I'll go ghetto first. I was ghetto fabulous. Everybody knew who the heck I was.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the first 6 weeks, I was on practice squad. And all my guys, I never went to home games. When we had home games,
Really?
no.
How come?
Because the guys just wanted to stand by Emmett and Michael and Aikman just so they can get on TV. And I said, I don't need to be on TV. That's not what I'm doing. So I would throw parties in the hood with all my boys.
And watch the game.
Yeah, but there'll be haters there. Man, you don't really play for the Cowboys. Why you right here with us? And the game is right there at Texas Stadium. I said, listen, man, relax. Okay, grab a beer, some food, whatever.
Right.
But don't worry about me, you know? So, yeah, that was my big deal. I just took it to the streets, to my people, to my fans, and to my friends, real good friends, and that's how we hung out.
Before we delve into the rest of your Cowboys career, we're going to go back because you grew up in Dallas.
Yeah.
Your grandpa gave you a Cowboys helmet.
Yeah.
You're 3 years old. Is that
The
when
helmet was bigger than me.
Is that when the love affair started?
No, actually, for my grandfather, he always had been a Dallas Cowboys fan. To this day, his son, my uncle, all my uncles, my grandfather, the reason the Cowboys would lose is never because Starbuck threw 3 interceptions.
Right.
Dorsett fumbled twice. It was always the refs cheated, the other team cheated. Never. I'm telling you, man, my uncle to this day, he will, and it's just so hilarious. And I go, well, Dad did throw 3 interceptions. And he goes, no, but it was because of. And I go, man, God dang it. You know, but it's never the Cowboys' fault.
So you grew up loving the Cowboys.
Definitely.
Did you watch games with your parents, your mom, your dad?
Yes.
What do you remember about those days?
Everybody sat around the TV. Food was served, and the Cowboys were dissected, before they stepped on the field, during the game, and after. It was the conversation was always about the Cowboys for at least 2 or 3 days.
When did you start playing football?
I started playing football for the East Dallas Jets, and I believe about 8 or 9. And we used to practice on this field with a semi-pro football team, the Panthers,
Right.
East Dallas Panthers. And my first year, the coach goes, "Yeah, tomorrow we're gonna have picture day. So come ready to, make it happen." And I go, yeah, all these guys, they already played on this team the year before. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go get my hair cut and be ready to go. And they said, nah, picture day is you stand on the line with your hand behind your back and someone is 10 yards away from you, runs and drills you in the chest and you can't move. And I said, really? That's picture day, huh? It was madness back in the day.
Yeah. So you showed up for that?
I showed up. I showed them that I was a man or, a boy. And I got drilled in my chest a couple of times, but I drilled others in their chest, So that was picture day.
What is it that you liked about football?
I was a boxer.
Really?
Yeah, I was a boxer. I love boxing. My dad had me at the age of 5, punching the big bag and all that kind of stuff, fighting others. My buddies in the neighborhood over in East Dallas, Southeast Dallas, we would box against streets. It would be neighborhoods. It would be boys club against boys club. So that was my first love. My dad used to tell me all the time, "You get beat up, don't come home losing. Don't come home losing." But one time I was fighting at this park, or this guy's house that was right next to this park, and I couldn't knock him out. So I was trying to outpoint him, but he outpointed me. And I'm walking home, my little brother, the middle brother, he's crying. I go, "What's wrong?" He said, "You lost, man, you lost." And I go, it ain't like I got beat up. It just, the judges chose him over me. But that's how competitive our neighborhood is and was. I was in Woodrow Wilson's neighborhood.
See, that leads me to my question. Like, how'd you get to Bryan Adams? I'm trying to figure out how you got to Bryan Adams and not that Woodrow was.
Thank God.
Woodrow got Davy O'Brien and Tim Brown and Sergio Kendall and nobody else. So the question is,
yes,
how did you end up at Bryan Adams and not somewhere else like South Oak Cliff,
yes,
Roosevelt,
yes,
Skyline?
The summer before my freshman year in high school, they changed the boundaries. Dolphin Road split up Culver and Fairview and Winfield and all of that kind of stuff. And one side was Bryan Adams, the other side was Woodrow Wilson. When I was in middle school, I would catch the bus from Woodrow Wilson to my middle school, which was in South Dallas, right outside of Lincoln. Percy Anderson Academy.
I know it well.
Didn't have no football, no basketball, no anything. I was a band member.
What'd you play?
Tuba. I played the tuba, I played the trumpet, I played the baritone horn, which is beautiful. Beautiful sound. But I would go up to Woodrow, catch the bus, and there would be stabbings and fights and all of this stuff. And I was like, man, I'm not coming to Woodrow. And just like I said, right before my freshman year in high school, they changed the boundary, and I was like, yay!
Now, those of us who are familiar with Dallas schools, we're not just talking about recruiting, but they had M&M transfers, majority, minority transfers.
Yeah.
Did you think about transferring, or you were just going to stay at Bryan Adams?
No. I was staying at Bryan.
How come?
I had enough of my neighborhood buddies. I've beat and fought and lost and won fights with everybody in my neighborhood. I played football against all the people in my neighborhood. I wanted to go someplace where I could make a name for myself. My dad always said that. He said, you can make a name for yourself there. They hadn't won a district championship in 17 years.
Right.
And we ended up winning one with me there. And I just wanted to be a badass somewhere else.
That makes sense. 1,500 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Your senior year.
Yeah.
You're one of the best in the state.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere, basically. Why Notre Dame?
I wanted to go to SMU. Ever since my sophomore year in high school, they sent over a graduate assistant.
Right.
I'm telling y'all some, inside stuff here. Gary Thiebaud.
Uh huh.
He had me on SMU's campus when I was a sophomore, practically every other month. I used to go up there watch the guys practice, hang out with the guys, the whole deal. I was a sophomore in high school.
Right.
And meet with the guys, this whole thing. I wanted to go to SMU. I wanted to be part of the Pony Express.
Right. Dixon
Yeah.
and James. Then they had Jeff Atkins and Reggie Dupart.
That's right.
You want to be all part. Okay, what happened? They didn't have enough money.
They they offered my dad a job a no-show job
Like I said.
and a house
Right.
in Highland Park. My dad said no. See, my dad wasn't a football guy. My dad was an education guy. My mama was a football guy. If they come to her, she probably say, yeah, you know what I mean? Just to get us out of the hood. But either way it go, my dad said no. He wasn't having it. He said, my son's going to get his education, this, that, and the other thing. They got the death penalty when I graduated.
Oh, so
So I had to pick another school. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go with my big brother, Tim Brown. Tim Brown grew up right across the street from me.
is that right?
Literally. You know how people say, oh, man, I grew up right here. You know, the house in front of me, another house, third house. That's Tim Brown.
So he was like your big brother for real?
He was like my big, to this day. When I didn't have health insurance to pay for my prescriptions and meds and stuff like that, he was the one who paid for them.
See, you learn something new every day when you listen to JacquesTalk.
Yeah. He, to this day, you know, asks me, what do I need? You know, a great guy. But he grew up right across the street from me.
What did he tell you about Notre Dame?
Lou Holtz was a tough guy. He said, we are going to win the national championship. We didn't do it with him, but we did the next year.
Right.
You know, he said, you're going to play against the best of the best. We played Alabama. We played Michigan State. We played all of the real, Miami when they were Miami,
Right.
you know? And he said, if you want to be one of those guys that play against the best people and come out, you know, that diamond that been, you know, beaten
Under
and stuff.
pressure.
Yeah. You know, he said, this is the place to come to.
Well, tell me about your experience at Notre Dame.
Okay. This is something that I only told my family. I'm at Notre Dame and I have this class. He was a priest. And I'm in there it was freshmen, you know, a lot of freshman players. We were the #1 recruiting class in the nation in '87. And so I'm in this class with my other freshman, you know, compadres. And one day, priest, he told me, he said, man, I want to talk to you. And so he let everybody get out of class. He said, listen, as it, you know, pertains to all the students in my class, you're one of you guys have the higher grades. You know, I had this way of, you know, I didn't have to do homework and all that kind of stuff, but I could ace tests. You know what I mean?
Right.
I had that thing. He said, why do you sit in the back with all those niggas? And I
Because
said,
you're not one. You're
Yeah.
different.
yeah, because he felt like I was just an educated brother. And I looked at him and I said, I'm sorry, what did you just say? He said, yeah. Why you sit in the back with all those niggas? All y'all do back there is play and this, and then he said, I don't know how you ace tests. I don't know how you get your homework done. You know, that type of stuff. And I left and walked away from him at that point, and I didn't go back to his class for 2 weeks. Coach Holtz, the administrator from Notre Dame, calls me into the office and says, why have you been in this class? What's going on? I told them the story. They said, give me 24 hours and we'll investigate this and we'll see what's going on. And 24 hours passed and they pulled me into the office. They said, if you don't go back to this class, we're going to get you the hell out of here. So I didn't go back to class. I think the class was at 10. By 1 p.m., I was on a plane home to Dallas.
So this didn't have anything to do with about you moving to defensive back.
No. I played defensive back. I played receiver in games. I played running back in games. Yeah. Every week, I didn't know what I was going to be. Yeah, that was the craziest thing. I was a safety. You know, safety is much different from a damn cornerback.
Right.
You know, my first game at Notre Dame was against Michigan at 106,000, and I'm a cornerback. My whole life, I've been a running back. You know,
Yeah, how did that conversation go?
there was no conversation. The first day of practice, I go to the running backs huddle, the running backs individual period, and Holtz goes, "No, no, no, no. You're an athlete. I brought you here as an athlete. You need to go to the cornerbacks." I go, "Oh my God."
Wait a minute, but how big are you?
I'm 165. I'm 6'1", 165. Yeah.
Okay.
And he tells me I'm a cornerback. Yeah. And so my goal changed. I wanted to be the starting running back for Notre Dame my freshman year. So my goal changed. I said I want to be on the roster, the 65 player roster that travels.
Did you make
And
it?
I made it. Yeah, yeah. I was on every special teams. I was, like I said, I showed up at games when I was a receiver and a running back, but I never played a game the same position I played the week before. My mom loved football.
Right.
I didn't know what to tell him, and I never told him anything. I said, I just didn't go to class, Dad. He said, "You son of a bitch."
How come you didn't tell him?
My daddy wasn't a fan of white people. And my dad, I felt, would do something stupid. And I love my dad. My dad was my physical abuser.
What do you mean?
My dad had belts that had silver studs, and I was his focus, me and my mother. And I was the focus of his anger. And I just did not, even though I was so mad at my father. Today, my dad is dead. I'm still trying to transition from my anger toward him. You know, it's so tough. I don't know why. And I know how to make it happen. I really do. But I just keep living in that pain of what he did to me as a child.
When did it start?
3, 4, 5 belts. Not my brothers. Not my brothers. Sticks, punches. And when I got older, I said, man, maybe he's just scared that I'm going to be the new alpha male in this house. In my last day living with him, we got into it about a phone bill. I moved back from Notre Dame.
Right.
And I'm practicing and working out with University of Texas. I'm going to University of Texas. I'm going, to be the next, Earl Campbell. That's my football hero. And I paid a phone bill, and he said, "You owe $5 more." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll pay you, no problem." He said, "No, I want my money now." And so I looked at my little brother and I said, "Give this nigga $5 before I have to whoop his ass." And we both get up, and we're like two bulls ready to fight. And my mother crying and stopping, and my brothers are crying, and all of this stuff here. And that was the last time before my son was born that I talked to my dad. When I would call home, if he would answer, I would hang up. And he knew it. So my mother would answer the phone, or I would actually say, "Hey, I want to talk to Mama." And I would not talk to him. And that went on for 5 years.
What's the biggest effect that had on you?
I wish I had just been more of a guy that would have a conversation with him and try to resolve it at that time, because he became the greatest grandfather that you would ever want. He became an awesome human being.
What changed for him?
The Bible. When I was in high school, I was part of Fellowship of Christian Athletes and Young Life and all that kind of stuff. And I would bring Bibles home, but he would get home by 3, 4 in the morning, and my Bible would be somewhere else. Before be on the dining table or somewhere else. And then one time I woke up early, and he was listening to this white man on TV, sitting in one of those big old chairs, and he's going through the Bible, and he's teaching, what was going on in that Bible.
Right.
And I watched my dad listen to it. I said, man, first off, he don't like white people. He's sitting there looking at this white man on TV, and he's got my Bible. So it was, Vietnam turned him into an animal. Turned him into an animal. He was an Air Force guy. My mama says all the time, he was not that way when I met him. He was not that way before he went to Vietnam. He was not that way. And of course, when you're a kid, you don't give a damn. I would see my mom with eyes black, lips busted, her brothers ready to go kill my dad, and my mother telling them not to do it. I'm ready to do something, but I'm a kid. What am I going to do? So I did not understand why he was that way. But here's the kicker. I'm not going to say who, but a family member molested me. I say rape. I don't try to mince words. For about 6 months, and then he ended up having a heart attack and dying. He swore that he would kill my mother and my father and everybody in my family if I ever said anything. Now, I did not respect my father. I did not like my father because of whatever. But I knew if he was out of my family, if he was out of that house, we would go down. That's how I felt. Because he was the breadwinner. My mother did work, but he made sure he was the one that, the lead, whatever. And I didn't say anything for 6 months, but I knew that my dad was the breadwinner, and if he wasn't in the house, I said, man, I don't know where we're going to end up,
How'd you deal with that abuse? Or what age were you when that occurred?
11. He owns these warehouses on East Grand in East Dallas, Southeast Dallas. And he had a lot of kids that would come, and I guess he had this warehouse where you would exchange, let's say there's winter coats.
Right.
Then the summer comes around, now there's shorts, and so you would take those boxes out. And one day he caught me in his warehouse up in the storage area, and that's where he would do his thing, and I knew he was a murderer. He was an animal. This guy was, yeah, I'm not gonna say his name. He did whatever, but my dad was even scared of this guy, and that's where.
So as you're dealing with all of that, how were you able to succeed on the football field?
My mother told me, I finally told my mother when I was 42. I told my little brother as well. And it just made me more determined. I never, like I said, I wanted to be a boxer. Football just came, as a side deal, and I fell in love with it. Oh, big time, but the accolades, when I was with the East Dallas Jets, I loved it. Middle school, I'm sorry, my 6th grade year, guy ended up with a bruised hip, ended up on crutches for 2 weeks. My dad said, you're not playing football anymore until you get to high school. And so I applied to go to Pearl C. Anderson when it was an academy.
Wow, right.
And they didn't have football, they didn't have basketball, they didn't have anything. But I ended up in the band,
Now, what did your dad say when you get knocked out as a sophomore? For like literally 15, like you got cold and your mom won't let you play anymore that year. What did he say?
She was so upset. She ran on the field. My dad, he would come to games and he would give her a kiss and he would go sit up at the top of the stadium. And he was ready for me to be done with football. I mean, 15 minutes on the field, running a kickback. Yeah, he was done. He was done with football. He
Were you
never.
done?
No, I wasn't.
Even after being knocked out for 15 minutes?
No, I was ready to get back out there and make it happen because I was a sophomore. And I had SMU bringing over their own graduate assistant become our damn defensive coordinator, and they want me at their school as a sophomore.
Right.
So I just was excited, you know.
So you wanted to go to Texas,
Yeah.
but you ended up at Baylor.
Texas had me down there in the off season, you know, doing workouts and this, that, and other thing. So my mother, the day school started, brought me down to Texas and said, "Hey, this is Lincoln Coleman. I'm bringing him in to get registered to go to school." And they go, "Okay, let me get him registered." They boop, 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 boop. Oh my God, we don't have scholarships for this semester, for the fall semester, but we do have scholarships for the spring semester. That's when we're bringing him in. My mother said, "Oh yeah, really? Can I use your phone real quick?"
No, she didn't.
And she called Baylor.
No, she did.
She called Baylor from Austin.
Your mom is a gangster.
She don't play, man. She said, "You getting the hell out of my house." She called Baylor, called Grant Taft and said, "My son doesn't have a scholarship for Texas. What's going on at Baylor?" He said, "No, drive right up the street and drop him off." That's how I signed a damn a scholarship with Baylor.
What do you remember about your time at Baylor?
I was a knucklehead. It was the 80s, you know, black, Africa pendants.
Dude, I was just finna say that.
You know what I mean?
Everybody
It
had
was fight the power.
medallions.
Yeah.
Spike Lee's movie was up.
Spike Lee movies was happening.
Do the Right Thing.
And so at Baylor, it was 12,000 students, maybe 400 black.
Maybe.
Maybe, bro. And so I'm all about, you know, black power and all this stuff, and I'm coming across the courtyard, and it is rush week, and there was this sorority. They were in blackface, and they were passing out watermelon.
This don't sound good, people.
And I said, "Whoa, what's happening?" And I went into the student center, and I'm going, "Man, we need to go turn them tables over. What's going on?" And they're like, "Man, you know, don't worry about this kind of stuff, man. This is this, that, and the other thing." And a buddy of mine said, "You know, Paul Quinn is right up the street, Paul Quinn College, you know." And so I started going over there. They thought I was a student. They thought I was a student at Paul Quinn. And then I would go to these clubs that was on Lincoln Avenue. This club called, I can't remember the name of it, but I used to come out fighting all the time. You know, I was just, like I said, a knucklehead. And so the owners, they were drug dealers, and they said, "Man, we want you to bounce at our spot." And so I'm bouncing. I'm going to Baylor. I'm playing football. I'm working for drug dealers, you know. And one day, I was supposed to meet those guys at the club, and I didn't know what was happening, but I was supposed to meet them at the club. I'd show up about an hour late because I was with some chick, and they ended up getting shot up in the car, killed.
Wow.
They cut out the middleman and was going to go to the head guy to buy their drugs, and the middleman killed them. And I've been shot at because I was the bouncer, being a tough guy, whatever. I had been shot at. I've been, you know, in all of these different fights and all of that kind of stuff. And that's all I focused on. Black power, you know, I'm going to just hang out with black people. And, you know, it's 87, 88, 89.
Right.
You know, and so, yeah, that was my, you know, at Baylor, I just was rebellious. I was an asshole, and I had wonderful people who loved me there, and I did not connect to them very well.
So you flunk out of Baylor, and that starts your circuitous route to the Cowboys. But in the meantime, you end up playing for the Dallas Colts.
Yes.
Semi-pro league.
Yes.
It's solid.
I played 2 years of semi-pro football, lost one game. The game was the second year I was there, and that was in the championship.
Who'd y'all play?
Arlington Broncos.
Those of y'all familiar with JacquesTalk, the podcast, will know Big Joe and the Big Rig played middle linebacker for the Arlington Broncos.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we lost to the Arlington Broncos. We won the first year championship, and then we lost that one loss that we had in 2 years to the Arlington Broncos. Man.
Now, when we talked, you loved playing for the Dallas Colts.
Yes,
Why?
loved it. I was the big dog in a little big fish in a little pond. The guys looked to me for leadership, and I had never been in a position like that other than when I was in high school. You know, the guys were like, yo, this is Lincoln Coleman. He used to be the guy in Texas, you know, and he played at Baylor and at Notre Dame and all this stuff here. And I was able to lead just by reputation. And then when they seen how hard I worked, that was even more better, you know? And so that was so much fun.
What's your favorite memory from the Arlington Broncos? I mean, from the Dallas Colts.
I had a play that everybody talks about, man. This is one play where the quarterback gets the ball mishandled and the ball spurts out about 10 yards deep. I go and get the ball, and at least 10 people try to tackle me at 5-yard increments, and I give them the shoulder. My when I was with the Jets, it was helmet and shoulder pads. That's all you give them. You know, that's what my coach used to tell me. And I give them the shoulder. 10 guys, give them the shoulder. And I run a 65-yard touchdown by running over 10 people.
That sounds like throw up tackle.
Yeah, I know. It was crazy. So that was my biggest memory, but we had so much fun. You know, we had the wives and the girlfriends and the children and, you know, family in the stands, you know. So it was a lot of fun doing what we did. The crazy part was we would practice. After practice, we have cases of beer instead of Gatorade. You know, so yeah, it's crazy, man, but it was a lot of fun.
So how did you go from the Colts working at Home Depot to the Cowboys?
One day, I'm at my good buddy's house, and my mother calls me. She says, "Hey, this arena team in Dallas, they want you to come out and try out tomorrow." And I'm getting drunk and high with, you know, the boys and all this kind of stuff. And I said, "Okay, I'll take the information down. I'll show up tomorrow." 395 guys are out there. Dallas Texans.
Right.
And I'm 260. And I get down and I run a 40. I run a 4.52. Coach is hell no.
You're going to run that again.
He says, "You're going to run this thing again."
Yeah.
4.52 again. He says, "You see that guy over there by the stadium seats? I need you to sign some paperwork." 395 guys. I was the only one to sign the paperwork to go play for the Dallas Texans. They had guys from Louisiana, Oklahoma, Texas, Dallas, Houston, you know, all over, you know, all the neighboring states, you know. 395 guys, and I was the only one who signed.
How'd you get from the Arena League Dallas Texans to the Cowboys?
I am injured. Second to the last game of the season, Achilles injury, and I go into the locker room and my trainer won't look at me. I say, "Hey man, what's going on? I'm trying to get, you know." He says, "Man, the Cowboys called today." I said, "Oh yeah, what's happening?" He said, "But HIPAA, I gotta let them know that you're injured. And I let them know that there's no way you could come in and practice and do this, and this." I immediately start crying. And all the guys are coming through the locker room and they're going, "What's wrong with Lincoln, man? What's happening?" And I am in tears because my whole thing is I want to play for the damn Dallas Cowboys. And I was upset, and I finally got healthy played the last game of the year, played the playoff game, lost. And at that time, arena football ended when the NFL started training camp. And so we lost in the playoffs, and I get the call again because they had running backs that were horrible. I mean, I'm not joking. They had running backs that in camp. The Cowboys' whole goal was we are #1 defense in the league, okay?
Right.
And so it's go from running back to the quarterback, And so they called, and I got an agent, Grant Taft, who got rid of me at Baylor,
Right.
was my man. And he hooked me up with his stepson, and the stepson said, I'm going to work something out. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, Miami called. They're going to sign you to a deal. I said, I could give a damn about Miami, baby. Let's get Dallas on the hook. He said, man, just let me work this out. I said, I'll kill you if you don't, And so he told Dallas, he said, hey, man, we would love to be down there because Dallas only wanted me to come down and work out.
Right.
And just see if my Achilles is good. Miami wants to sign us. So we're going to go to Miami. Jimmy Johnson personally said, bring him down there now. I come down there. They put me in the locker room. They sign me. They give me some shoulder pads, put me on the field. I jog on the field, and I'm looking at the #1 defense in the league. And I'm going, wow. And Jimmy Johnson runs up to me and said, man, I like how you worked that deal out. Got a couple of dollars from us and all that. He says, you got 10 plays to make this team.
Wow.
Inside drill. Inside drill is offensive lineman, fullback, me. And I didn't know this while we were having inside drill because it's D-line, linebackers, and Woodson. The goddamn hardest hitting safety ever.
Right.
And he stood behind me during that 10 plays, where actually it ended up being 7 plays, and he pointed at me, saying, I'm going to get the ball, and he pointed at the hole I was going to hit. I was at a disadvantage, but I was 260. I was like, listen, man, come on. Step in the hole if you want to. And after 7 plays, which was supposed to have been 10 plays, Jimmy said, he says, you're good. Don't worry about it. I got you on the team. No, not on the roster, but on
Practice squad.
No, not on practice squad yet. I'm on the what do you call that? Good Lord. I'm able to be on the practice team. I get down to the last cut, and we had a guy called Dr. Death, He would,
that was Bruce.
Zimmerman. Wasn't it Zimmerman? What was his name?
It was Bruce.
Bruce.
I can't remember Bruce's last name, but it was Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce. And he came and he said, hey, man, bring your playbook. Jimmy want to talk to you. And so I get in there, and Jimmy goes, hey, we're going to cut you. It's the last cut. And I go, woo! I start crying. He said, whoa. We have to do this to get down to, 53 or 48, rather. Get down to 48, then we'll sign you back, to be on the practice squad. I go, oh, okay. He said, if you want to, you can come to the luncheon.
Kickoff luncheon.
You're not going to have a nameplate. You can eat with us, but nobody's going to know who the hell you are. I showed up. I didn't have a lunch. I didn't have a nameplate, nothing, but I ate lunch with him. And you know what I mean? I just showed up and was ready to, I said, man, I'm going to be available for everything when it comes to Jimmy.
What's it like emotionally to play for the team that you've always loved in the city where you grew up?
It was heavy because I wanted to excel. When I was on the practice squad, I did everything that they asked me to do. I said, man, I can't be on this practice squad all year. I was on there for 6 weeks. I said, I can't be on this practice squad. I got to show up and show out, It wasn't a burden or anything. It was just the fact that I'm on the Dallas Cowboys and I'm actually from Dallas, like Bob Hayes, like Bullet Bob Hayes, and, and my cousin is sometimes.
We all have these old man moments.
DB, the catch.
Everson Walls.
Everson Walls, that's my cousin.
Is that right?
First cousin. He found out about me when I was a senior in high school. We were Bryan Adams against Roosevelt, 7-0. Every college in the nation was there. I mean, all the big ones.
Right.
And Everson showed up because his dad told him, hey, you know, that's your cousin over there, man. Go see your cousin. He showed up at the game.
What do you remember about playing in the Super Bowl? It's not just about the one carry for -3 yards. It's about
Yeah. I mean,
it's
you
about the
know,
experience.
go ahead and put that on, on film. It was a counter. Emmett killing them with it. And I get -3 yards, man. I couldn't.
But you got to carry.
I got to carry it. Yes, I was scared as hell.
What's it like running out front in the tunnel for the Super Bowl?
Oh, it was, you kind of shit your pants, and you're nervous. I'm praying that Emmett doesn't get hurt. Because I know you see, a lot of people thought because, Michael Irvin, with all that screaming and he thought we got excited by watching him. We got excited by watching Emmett. Emmett didn't do all that mess. Emmett just went out there and did what he was supposed to do.
Right.
And then we would go, man, this dude, what in the hell is going on? And we would be inspired by Emmett. Yeah, Michael Irvin, great impact and all this, screaming stuff. We watch Emmett, man. And Emmett made it happen. He was a football player. That's it. He didn't, he wasn't good with the girls and all this stuff here. When he came,
right.
He would take the running backs out with him, and we all go hang out and all this stuff here, and we'd be with the women, and we hang out, and he would talk about what happened in practice. Man, you remember that play in practice? When we go, yeah, that's awesome, Emmett. But we're here with some women, man. We're talking about something else. That was his thing. Football. That's all he wanted to, to deal with.
You showed up in '94.
Mm-hmm.
Switch as a coach.
Oof.
Why you do it like that, man?
Listen, man, I'm gonna tell you something. So one day, Barry Switzer, Grant Taft, Lou Holtz, I forgot who the coach was at the University of Texas. They all showed up at my high school. Okay. Barry, everybody's so accommodating to my head coach. My head coach in high school he's a god. He's a god to me. Jackie Edwards. He was so rude and disgusting with him.
Really?
So I was done talking to him about football. So when I sat there with him, he told my coach to get the hell out of his own office. My coach was trying to be accommodating. He said, listen, coach, I got this. Don't worry about it. Get the hell out of here. This, that, and the other thing. And I'm sitting there and go, I'm not hearing anything he's saying to me. In either way go, he had this, that wing, whatever, the wishbone offense. I ain't want to be, part of that mess anyway. And so he's talking to me. I'm like, okay. He goes to my head coach and tells him, this is the weekend I'm flying Lincoln up to Oklahoma. My coach, who's pissed off at him for doing him that way, did not tell me. And back in the day, you miss a goddamn, it's like, you stab somebody in someone's family.
Right.
And so I missed that weekend. And that sucker held a grudge against me until he seen me with the Cowboys the first day.
You really believe that?
I know it because my running back coach told me.
Brodsky?
Brodsky told me.
What did he say?
He said, I don't know what's going on between you and Barry, but God dang it has something to do with that first visit with him. And I said, you gotta be kidding me. This dude, he cut me. He cut me like 3 times that year and brought me back the next day. He was in my ass. So his first training camp, we scrimmage. Who scrimmages the first goddamn training camp, of the year? And we scrimmaged the whole time. And of course, Emmett's not in there. I'm the guy. Because I back up Emmett, so I'm the guy. And I am wore out. And he reads me the riot act. Lincoln, you're going to be the first one cut if you'll get your fat ass in shape and all this stuff here. Because let's take it back. So he becomes the head coach, this, that, and other thing, and he's going to be coming through one of the front, either the front door or the back door. I take a chance and I go out the back door. There he is, Lincoln. Okay, man, how much do you weigh? I said, I'm about 257. Oh, you better get down to 240 or I'm going to get your ass up out of here. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I played 257. We won the Super Bowl. I'm not trying to hear you, man. I show up at 257 for training camp. They fine me $1,800 on the spot. And then we practice, whatever, and I'm the only running back that they wanted to, run. And I was wore out. He says, Lincoln, if you don't get yourself in shape and this, that, I'm like, what are you talking about? 3 days later, we scrimmaged the Houston Oilers in San Antonio. I get player of the game. I graded out 100%. There's no way I got in shape in 3 days.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so we play the Houston Oilers in Mexico City. I'm player of the game. I win a TV and a new suit, some money, all of that kind of stuff. And he's still on my ass. And my running back coach says, Brodsky, he goes, what's going on with you? And I said, man, I do not know. I said, all I know is when I was in high school, I was supposed to go to a recruiting visit, and I didn't make it to it. He said, He said, this dude holds grudges. But he cut me about 2 or 3 times that year.
After your career with the Cowboys, you had some issues.
Yeah.
I mean, you played. What was the hardest thing trying to figure out what to do without football? Because football, you went and played the Arena League, you did some other things.
Yeah. Well, my drug addiction.
When did that start?
Oh, man. My first year, I was alcoholic. I would drink to blackout stage, piss myself, the whole deal. The second year, I was a marijuana guy. In the middle of that second year, I became a cocaine guy. My first day, I'm going to tell you, my first day of doing cocaine, we were in Tempe, Arizona, off-season basketball team, the Hoopsters. Remember the Hoopsters?
What year was this?
95.
Okay, I'm trying to think because I think I made a trip out there. Was Troy on this trip?
No, Troy wasn't on this trip.
All right.
Tempe, Arizona. And I did what I usually do. I'd go back to my room, pass out, and I would lock the top lock so you can't get in while I'm sleeping. And there was a message on my phone right by the bed. It was Michael Irvin. He says, hey, yo, get your butt up here when you wake up, yada, yada. So I go up to his room. He opens the door. There's 5 naked women in there. There's cocaine. There's marijuana. And he goes, listen, if you're going to stay here, you're going to party like we party. He said, but if you want to go home, I'll get your ass on the plane right now. So I looked around at the women, I looked at the cocaine, and I chose the cocaine. I worked out with him all off season. The hardest work. We would play hard, but that dude would step on the goddamn field and be amazing. He would work out. His workouts were tougher than anybody else's. So what I did was, I said, okay, our workouts were, running backs had a route tree.
Right.
Receivers had a route tree. I run the receivers route tree with Michael Irvin. I got so into shape that I became arrogant because of the cocaine. I'm not talking about the workouts were what it was, but I'm working out with Michael Irvin. I'm in his crew now.
That's a different crew.
That's a different crew. Yes, we played hard, but Mike made sure you worked hard too. He did not mess around. And so one day, our weight and conditioning coach Wojcik.
Mike
Wojcik. He comes out there and says, Lane, you need to be over here on the other field with Moose. You're a fullback. I mean, you're a running back. You need to be over here with the running backs. I said, I'm not a professional football player. I'm an entertainer. Yeah. Yeah. Wojcik looked at me and went,
he gave you that same look I just had.
all right, okay, that's awesome. You know what I mean? And so he walks off, never says anything else to me. we get down to, and I'll be ready. We get down to training camp. You know, the training camp, 2 days before training camp, you do all the testing, and you get, you know, if you win in your your group, you get the 2 week Hawaii whatever trip. And I go out there, I got them in the bench. I got them in the weights. I beat out Moose and Emmett and everybody in the weights. And we go out here and we do the 15-yard shuttle. You know, hand on the line, 5 yards that way, 10 yards that way, 5 yards here. I run the fastest time ever in Cowboy history, a 3.23. They said, no, there's no way you did that. If you do that again and get within two 100ths of a second of, 3.25, we'll give you the 3.23. I run the 3.23 again.
You a freak.
A freak! But only because I'm working out with Michael Irvin. Yeah, we coked up every day, but we worked out every day. And I go into the locker room and I tell everybody what's going on. Boyce comes in and says, hey, Link, you got to run the 40. And I said, okay. And I looked at Emmett and I said, Emmett, did you run the 40? He said, hell no, I'm not running a goddamn 40. I looked at Moose and said, you run the 40? He said, no, I'm not running a damn 40. I said, Warsick, I'm not running a 40, man. You can take that and shove it up your ass. Go give me my goddamn 2-week vacation, baby. Barry Switzer comes in, 80 players getting ready for training camp, pulls me out, says, we're going to cut you, we're going to give Sherman Williams your money that we were going to give you, and we'll, see you later. That was the last cut that he made with me. He cut me 3 times during the season. That 4th cut was the last one, and it was over with. And Brodsky, he goes, listen, don't sign the first contract that you see. He said, give us a second, we'll bring you back. And I was just wore out. I was done with the head coach. I was really done with him, man. The first contract offered to me was Atlanta Falcons, who were garbage at that time. Garbage. I took him. I took that contract and went down there, and it was the worst thing I could have done.
How come?
Cocaine habit. The team didn't give a damn about winning, so I adopted, their style of play. When I eventually got cut in '96, I was up all night doing cocaine with a buddy of mine. I'm not gonna say his name. He's a good dude. The game is at 1. At 10 o'clock, I'm looking out the window, and I go, okay, at 11 o'clock, we're gonna stop. He looks out the window. He says, at 12 o'clock, we're gonna stop. We never stopped. We showed up at the locker room late. I was supposed to run in and out, but I ran a screen route, touchdown right there. Ended up getting cut right after the game, But yeah, I got too involved with cocaine.
As you dealt with your drug addiction issues, you also found out that you had some mental issues.
Yeah, I'm schizoaffective severe bipolar 1.
When you hear those diagnoses, what's your first reaction?
Fear, because I know my uncles. I had 2 uncles who were mentally ill and they were homeless, and I said, oh my God, all I could think of was my uncles. They were homeless and no one talked to them. They were, we considered them terrible people. Black community dealing with mental illness, we don't think there's anything,
Right.
We don't think that, there's actually something for black folks to be mentally ill about. So my uncles were ignored. Their troubles were, they had to deal with them themselves. My mama, nobody ever, I just don't remember anybody ever dealing with them, but I remember they always say, man, he's crazy. I have an uncle who tried to stab his sister, and he's in Terrell, Texas to this day. And he was a kid, and he never wanted to come back to his family, so.
You look good now. You sound good.
All right.
How have you been able to do that?
Oh, man, I'm going to tell you something. I went into treatment in 2011. The NFL was looking for me. They sent a guy trying to find me to get me into treatment. And when I was in treatment, they thought that I would be a great LCDC.
What is that?
Man, I can't even call out the letters. An addiction specialist, an addiction counselor, an addictions guy. And I went back to school for a year. I did 9 months of residency, and I, started working for a company, intensive outpatient company. Every client that came in, I was the first guy who talked to them. I would do psychosocials, and I would set it up where whatever therapist I sent them off to, they had a blueprint on how to deal with them, And so I was that guy, And so I became, I started working for treatment centers. I owned a halfway house where men and women. Unfortunately, 3 girls got pregnant, not by me.
Right.
Everybody said, listen, man, do not bring women involved. If you're going to do women, make sure that's all you do. Make a halfway house with just women.
Right.
I did it with both, man. I thought I could make it happen. And I lived in an above loft, and I couldn't stop it, So I got wrapped up in all of that. But, at the end of this whole deal, I was unmarried, and my mother did not want to leave home where my dad died. To this day, he turns off lights in the house. He opens doors. And so my brother's like, listen, man, you're not married. Come back from Florida, and you're going to take care of mama. So that's what I've been doing.
And how have you been able to stay clean? Because that's the hardest thing for anybody
Meetings.
who deals with addiction.
Meetings. The best spot as far as I like being comfortable. Highland Park. They have big leather chairs. Lakewood, they got leather chairs. You know what I mean, man? Right. But meetings is the way to make it happen. That's it. Once you go to, meeting and be able to get out the stuff that's inside you, you come out of there ready to go, fired up.
How would you describe your life now?
I take care of my mother and my aunt. I cook for them. I make sure they get a kiss and a hug every day.
Why is that important?
Because I got a lot of boys that don't have a mother. Their mother's gone. And they talk to me about it all the time. They say, man, you're lucky. You're lucky, man. You got your mother right there and this, that, and other thing. And it inspires me to make sure that these women, I call them old ladies when I go in the house, to see them. I got no apartment on the property. I'm not living in the house with them. Right. So ladies, I'm just saying now. No, I'm just playing. But I'm not living in the house with them, but I got an apartment 10 steps away from the door. And I got my mother today.
Lincoln Coleman.
Holla at your boy. Holla at your boy.
We appreciate you joining us for another episode of JacquesTalk One-on-One. Continue to check out the YouTube channel at The Real JacquesTalk for the next episode of JacquesTalk One-on-One. Till we chat again, for Lincoln Coleman, I'm Jean-Jacques Taylor. You guys be blessed.